if you're a poor guy, you don't want to run for Congress, do you? Probably you can't run for Congress, but you'll certainly be a misfit if you get there.
Well, let's look at your definition of poor guy. Right, starting this year, a minority of people in Congress are not millionaires, or majority are millionaires. And that includes their net worth and everything. So it's the Millionaires Club in Congress these days, just over half. And that's the first time since records have been taken that we've seen that, and probably for the first time in history.
And the wealthiest, I believe, in the House is Darrell Issa.
That's right. He's the head of government and oversight, made a lot of money in private business. What is fascinating is how much money they make while they're in Congress.
I was just going to ask you that. How many of these were millionaires before they got to Congress?
I don't have a number for you on the data, but there are quite a few that just suddenly become very good investors. If you wanted to start a fund, you could do the Congress Fund and just invest in things that they do, and you will do very, very well. They just tend not to lose.
Yeah, and they also, I believe, I haven't done the research, but I'll bet you they are given opportunities to invest in this business or that business or this stock or whatever that other people don't get.
Well,
right?
there was a law that passed recently called the Stock Act that allows them to, there's a little more transparency and it keeps them from doing this insider trading stuff based upon what they know from legislation. It's a step forward, but it's not comprehensive, really.
Yeah.
But they're still making quite a bit of money. It can be quite lucrative to be in Congress, and that's not because of your paycheck.
I'm reminded of, was it J.W. Plunkett or whatever from New York, the great political book where he said on his tombstone he wanted engraved the words, I seen my opportunities and I took them.
Pretty good advice. Yeah.
You know, yeah. But I mean, what does it say though about their ability, if they're all millionaires or most of them are millionaires, to really understand, let alone care for, let alone, pass bills that are going to help the poor and the middle class?
Well, there is something to be said about having empathy in your legislating, of course. And a lot of these guys came from modest backgrounds, of course. But one does forget after you get deep into it, into the millions after a couple of years. And I think it would be discouraging to a lot of people that perhaps don't have a lot of money. The laws on the books really weigh in favor of those who can self-fund. That's incumbent protection programs they have going on right now. They pass laws that make it easier for them to get reelected because they're already in the club. So it is getting harder and harder to beat the big guys. But I mean, on this show, you'll talk a lot about super PACs and outside groups, but a lot of times those help little guys run for Congress on the left and the right, and we're seeing more and more. I'm not saying that people should change their minds on super PACs, but it does play into an account that we haven't seen necessarily before.
And also, being in that high upper class doesn't mean that you cannot have empathy or cannot care for the poor. Teddy Kennedy's, I think, maybe the best example of somebody who had all the money in the world and yet was the champion of the poor and working families.
But just to relate with people.
No, exactly.